Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. I did put something in the chat, but just to be on the safe side, due to the number of attendees, we kindly ask to just turn off your cameras and mute your mics during the presentation. There'll be an opportunity to enable them when we have the Q&A portion to ask any questions. And just so you know, this presentation will also be recorded and made available on the event page, which I will paste shortly into the chat window. And you can just check back looking at that, because we'll also paste other links referenced throughout the presentation. All right, so now that the housekeeping stuff is out of the way, we are really glad to have you join us today for our first virtual meetup this year. I'm Trish McCall, Director of HPCC Systems. And this is our big data analytics platform, which is available as open source. And one of our ongoing initiatives is to further build our community of users and adopters. And as part of that effort, we've established an academic program working with universities and schools to promote the use of HPCC systems by offering student opportunities and, most importantly, internships. So on that note, I would like to introduce our speaker, Lorraine Chapman, Manager Business Analyst and HPCC Systems Internship Program Manager. Lorraine will talk about an overview of the program, and then following her presentation, we will then open it up for questions. So at that time, you can please unmute your mic, ask your question, and you can also use the raise hand icon, so we'll surely see it. Okay, so thank you again, and Lorraine, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Trish, for that introduction. I thought I would also say, if you have a question and you don't want to forget about it, then you can type it into the chat, and I will go and have a look in the chat at the end and see if I can pick up on any questions that people have typed in during the presentation. So that's another option open to you. So today I'm here to give you some information about the intern program. But before I do that, I'm going to do a very aerial view of HPCC systems. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it justice here. That could be an entire presentation in its own right by someone who is far more qualified to do that than I am. So I'm going to suggest that if you want to know in-depth information about our big data analytics solution, then you go to hpccsystems.com. There's a wealth of information up there that you can find out about the features, some of the people who use it, the way they use it. There are some testimonials up there from people who use our system. You can find out how to download our bare metal system from our website, and also links in to find out more about our cloud native platform, as well as our blog area and opportunities for getting access to online training. So do go up and have a look at our website to find out more information. I'm just going to basically tell you that this product that we have can be an end-to-end big data analytics solution. And by that, I mean that you can take your raw data into our system, you can clean it and sort it, you can run analytics on it, and you can also then get insights into your data that you can push out into a user interface for people who want to use the system that you have created. We use it ourselves. It underpins quite a number of our own business initiatives and has done for a very long time. So HPCC Systems was born in the year 2000. And so we have basically been experts in big data, and the term big data was not really kind of known back then in 2000, although it seems to trip off lots of people's tongues these days, as does the word data lake. All of those things that you might associate with big data analytics, we have been in that area for quite some time using it ourselves. And this system that we have, we made available in 2011 for a number of reasons. But one of those reasons is that if you have something like this and you know other people are looking for a solution, why not share it with them? In sharing it with them via an open source community, community. There are also benefits that come back to you in that people can contribute back to your platform and help to make it better. We don't actually know how a lot of people use our system. They might use it for many different reasons. Sometimes we hear about people using our system in ways, and it just blows our mind. We would never even thought about it. So it's really quite interesting when you have an open source community like ours, when you do find out those snippets of information about what other people are doing in the area of big data analytics. And our system doesn't really care what kind of data you've got, as long as it's big data. It's there to be used and to do something with your data to help you provide your solution or get the analytics that you're looking for. So the Thor cluster is the one that you use to ingest your data and to do the cleaning of your data. And the Roxy cluster is the one where you run your analytics, you send queries and you run your analytics into your data. That's at a very high level. Again, if you want to know more about how these clusters work, then you can go and find out about that either via our documentation, via some of the training courses will give you some insight into this. We have some tutorials that you can run to have a little bit of a look around without having to know too much if you're just getting started, but please go up and have a look. The queries that you would run into your data are coded in a language called ECL. It's a language that we created ourselves, and it was created specifically for this purpose. The code generator in the background converts ECL into C++. I'm not a programmer, but I do know a few, and they tell me that using ECL makes it so much easier and quicker to get your queries into your data up and running and ready to use. If you were to convert the ECL into C++, it could potentially convert into hundreds, maybe thousands of lines of code. So that just gives you a bit of an insight into why using our ECL language is very useful in terms of getting you up and running quickly with your data analytics. So if you're going to join the intern program that runs alongside our platform team, you're basically contributing to this platform and the community that we are part of. You may also be contributing to our machine learning library in the form of submitting code for a new algorithm, or maybe you're someone who has an interesting use case, like the ones I spoke about earlier, where you're using our system to deliver a solution that is a little bit different to some of the other cases that we've seen, and perhaps you have an opportunity for a student to help you with that use case. I've put a little bit of information on here about our cloud native platform, because if you go up to our download section, you'll see all the details for our bare metal platform. But last year we released the first new release of our cloud native platform, and a lot of our students in the last couple of years have been working on projects that have been part of that initiative. You'll see that come up in some of my other slides, and if you want to find out more about that, you can use the link shown on my slide here to read some blogs and look at our Helm chart repository. So now that you know all of that, that gives you a little bit of an overview in terms of what you might be letting yourself in for if you choose to come and do an internship with us. It also may give you some clues as to whether or not this is the right kind of place for you to come and do an internship. There are a lot of details I'm going to go through in this presentation. I strongly recommend that you go and read my blog. The link and a picture of the blog is up on the right hand side now, because I can really only give you a snapshot by doing this presentation, and also it's so much easier to go and have a look at the blog. You can click on any of the links that are most important to you to get the information you need. So if you haven't read that blog already, then do make a note of the URL and go and take a look at that when you get a chance. People ask me every year, do you pay your interns? And I just get really surprised at this question, because I just did not think in 2022 I would still be answering that question. I didn't think that people would not be paying interns. So the answer is yes, of course, we do pay our interns for the 12 weeks that they come and work on projects with us. We do take on students from high school all the way through to PhD. And last year, we also took on a student who was working on a research project as a postgraduate researcher. It is a global program. Last year, we had students from Asia and the US. The year before, we also had students from Europe. I'm looking at some proposals now from students in Europe, so I'm hoping to factor some European students back into the programme in 2022. The internships run over the summer months. The May through August is really just sort of like a ballpark estimation, because when you run a global programme like this one, you have to take into account the fact that people's semester times differ in different parts of the world. Here in the UK, I know from my own personal experience, as you can tell from the accent, that's where I am. The students are in session at their universities until the middle of June, so they can't start in May, they have to start a bit later. So we do make adjustments so that we can accommodate people's semesters and the timings that they may have based on what they're doing with their studies, wherever they happen to be. The last 2 years, the programme has run completely remotely. I wonder why. Mainly because of COVID-19, as you might imagine. But in fact, this programme has had a remote element to it since it first started. About half of our students every year work remotely. We do provide the option for people to work in the office if they want to, and we have had students join us in both of the offices mentioned there. But the option to work remotely is also there. And also for some of our students who are based in some of these other countries, it probably is really the only option for them to be able to take part. But it's great that they can take part and they can work remotely. And I do believe that's one of the strengths of this programme, that we can work so easily remotely. I know a lot of intern programmes in the first year of COVID struggled to make that transition. But for us, it's actually not that difficult at all. We are a dispersed team. I'm in the UK, some of the software architects are here in the UK or in other areas of Europe. We have software developers in Florida, also in Georgia, Alpharetta. I know of one who's up in New York and another in Colorado, and there are others elsewhere as well. So we are so used to working remotely with each other as a team. It's really easy for us to absorb students onto the intern programme and have them work remotely, but still feel part of that team. If you're going to apply this year, you need to get your proposal in by the 18th of March. We'll come back to proposals in a short while. What happens is you look at our list of projects, you decide on the project or projects that you are interested in. You'll get in touch with the mentor and you'll work on a proposal. When you've got your final proposal, you'll send that to me and I send that on to the review panel who assess it, and they are the ones that make the final decision about who gets the places. If they want to offer you a place, we offer you a place, hopefully you accept, and then basically we're kind of waiting until about 6 weeks before your start date, because that's when the onboarding process starts. There is mentoring all the way through. I'll come back to mentoring a bit later on as well, but we want to give our students the best support they can have to achieve success with their projects. And of course, as I said, we're an open source project, so there's opportunities for community involvement as well. So I thought I would show you the titles of the projects that were completed in 2021, because I thought it might make more sense than just offering up some vague descriptions. And I tried to partition them into categories, and for some of them it was quite easy, but not all of them, because some of them do stretch over multiple categories. So in the use cases there, you'll see that there are some aspects of machine learning in some of those titles there. The COVID-19 tracker, we built that ourselves in the early days of COVID, and we had a student come in to add some new features to that. You can go and have a look on our website. I'm sure there's a blog up there by Roger Dev that will take you to the COVID-19 tracker, so you can go and have a look at it if you're interested in that. So that was one of our own sort of homegrown projects. And the basketball and the robotics ones were both from outside organisations who already had existing projects going on using HPCC systems and machine learning to get answers from the data that they wanted. And the HSQL project was one that sort of sits alongside ECL and our machine learning library. I believe it's a new language that allows people to use our machine learning library much more easily. The cloud-related ones, you might have heard me mention earlier that our cloud-native project was released. Our first release happened last year, and the year before it was under heavy development. Well, we are still working through getting that project to its fully fledged state. And last year we had some students work on some projects that allowed us to look into some things that the developers were wanting to get to, but had other priorities first. So one of the things that our interns do is they really help our developers to make process in areas an awful lot quicker. Some of the things that were looked at by these projects would have just meant that maybe some of the things that were released in one version may have had to wait a little while. So they are very highly valued projects. These are the ones I would consider to be pure machine learning, because they're pretty much looking at algorithms. You'll see there are 3 causality projects on there. This was a big effort for us in 2021. It's a new area in machine learning, not just for us, actually. And Roger Dev, who is the leader of our machine learning library project, decided that it would be really good for us to venture into this area, and so worked with 3 students to make some real good progress in the areas that you can see listed on the screen. If you want to find out more about our causality project, I put the link up there so you can go and have a see. If machine learning algorithms are your thing, it might help you to know that there are 2 projects available in the causality area for 2021. So if you're interested, go and have a look at what was achieved in 2021, have a look at the projects and see how you feel about that. And I just added these 3 that you saw on the previous page because they could just as easily have sat in the machine learning category, just to show you that there is quite often overlap here. So you can learn much more about those projects and the students who completed those projects in this blog that I wrote, which is up on our website. What I do every year is I get some information about each of those students, which I put into a blog so I can introduce what our students are doing to our community. I can tell people a little bit about what the project is hoping to achieve. But one of the reasons I put this in here is so that if you're a student out there, you can see the sorts of things that we do to showcase your work to our community. But also you might notice in this one that there's a link to a blog journal at the end, and this blog journal was written by Alex himself. It was one of those blogs where he edited it every single week, showing his progress and his thought process. All of the students do this. It's one of the requirements of our intern program that students keep a weekly blog journal. And those of you who are looking in might like to go to this blog and maybe choose one of the projects that is sort of in your area and go and have a look at the blog journal of one of the students, just to get an idea of what their 12-week experience was like, and also just to have a look at their achievements at the end, because they're worth looking at. So now I'm going to come back to the proposal side of things, because I dropped in, you have to produce a proposal, and then skimmed on to other things. So now we're going to look at what it means to produce a project proposal to submit, because this is the application process. The other question I get asked every year is, how many interviews do I have to go through before I get to the point where I might get accepted? And students are generally amazed every year that we actually don't really have an interview process, because the proposal is basically the interview process. The proposal is really significant because, well, it does lots of things. Firstly, you go and you choose your project, and then you start to prepare your proposal. And what it does is it provides you with a roadmap of exactly what you're going to do for the 12 weeks of your internship. So you can see on the right-hand side here that this particular student, this is a machine learning project, he has set out the deliverables that he's going to implement. And one thing I quite like about this one is that he has a little wish list at the end. So he's feeling very optimistic about, you know, he might complete his deliverables 1 to 9, and if he does, then he's going to go on and try and do 10 and 11 and 12 and maybe 13 as well. And I quite like the fact that he thought so much about this particular proposal that he was able to say, I know I've got 12 weeks and I think I can manage this, and if I've got some extra time, there are a few other things I would like to achieve too. He's put a timeline in. The timeline is sort of mandatory really for the proposal. We do like to see a timeline, and it's very, very helpful for you and your mentor if you put a timeline in. In fact, if you don't put a timeline in, I'm likely to email you and say, can you supply one? It's really, really key, not just for us so that we can see how keen you are on your proposal, that you've thought about it in a lot of depth, that you've got some ideas of what you want to do, and that you really have a clear vision for what this project means to you and what you need to achieve by the midpoint and by the end point. It also becomes important once you start your internship because you basically have your project plan, and it's really, really helpful for you and for your mentor and for me in terms of tracking progress and making sure that you're okay, that you're achieving your aims. If you're not achieving your aims, what is the reason for that? Have you hit a roadblock? Do you need some extra training? Do you need some extra support? So it's a really important part, not just of actually getting you into your internship, but you will use it as your guide when you're actually doing your internship too. So go up and have a look at the list, find a project that you like, and then when you're crafting your proposal, make sure that you've got the main tasks in there. You also need to show that you've thought about the various challenges associated with the project that you're looking at, and suggest possible solutions. The most important part of this process in terms of writing your proposal is I do recommend that you talk to the mentor of the project. The mentor of the project is going to be an expert in the field and will be able to give you some seriously good advice about your proposal. So you can send them a draft copy and ask them to comment, and they will. If you have questions, they will be able to answer those questions for you. They will also be able to help you work out how you're going to connect your work into our system. And that's a big thing. Obviously, we want to be able to use your contribution at the end. So it needs to be able to slot into what we're doing. And that's really a part that potentially only someone who works on the team would be able to help you with. So don't be shy about getting in touch with a mentor. I think it makes for a much more complete proposal. I put this slide in because I feel trying to produce a proposal with that level of detail might feel a little bit daunting. And I want you to firmly believe, any of you who are on the call today who are thinking of applying, that you can do this. Clearly, we do not expect you to know everything that you need to know. I mean, you're going to do your internship and you're going to learn lots of things while you're with us. And how to complete a project in a research and development environment is one of those things that you're going to learn. You're going to be working alongside people who have walked this walk before. They've had a project idea, they've worked on it, it hasn't quite gone the way they've wanted, they've had to change direction. It's okay. It happens. It's not a surprise to us. The clue is in the name, in that the research part of this. Sometimes it can be just as important to find out that something cannot or should not be done as it can be to find out that something can and should be done. And these people have a lot of experience at working through issues like this and can give you the support and help you need to move forward. So now I'm coming on to mentoring, because I think it's very, very important for you guys, and also for anyone who's watching who may not be thinking of applying themselves, but may have someone in mind that they would like to apply, whether it's a family member or a friend, or if you're a hiring manager who has come here because you want to hear a little bit more, because you've heard that our intern program produces good students who could be great new talent for your team, or someone who is thinking they may like to join our program as a mentor themselves. Because although we have our own RELX colleagues who provide mentoring, we do also have some school teachers and professors, and sometimes some of our business partners come in and give a helping hand to our students. So if you're someone who falls into that category, I think this information will be very helpful for you to know as well what that experience is like. We tend to think that it takes about potentially 10 hours a week to mentor a student on the intern program. That's kind of a ballpark figure. I don't think I've ever properly measured it. But when I first started the program, I sort of came up with that figure as a good amount of collaboration time that might happen between a mentor and a student. And of course, some students will need less and some students will need more. Some projects will need less, some projects will need more. So it's not a hard and fast rule. It's sort of a finger in the air estimate. And what usually happens is the student and the mentor find their way and work out what works for them during the course of the internship. Of course, all of our mentors are subject matter experts. I also provide mentoring, the well-being part for both mentors and students. So a student who's working on the intern program will get all the information they need to complete their project from their mentor and other members on the team. But if something's not going right for whatever reason, and you need someone to talk to, or you're having a problem, then I'm also there on hand to help as well. We don't just bring our interns in for 12 weeks, have them sit at a desk, work on a project and come up with something at the end. We do like to make sure that all of our interns feel properly supported during that experience. There are some formal mechanisms in place. So there are 2 evaluations. The midterm is one of those points where you can just take time to stop a moment and look on the previous half of the internship. Where did I start? How far have I got? Have I got to where I wanted to? If I haven't, what might I need to help me to accelerate progress? Or do I need to change direction? Do I need some extra training? What else might I need? What do the next 6 weeks look like? And it's a really good opportunity to just sort of reflect a little bit. The main reflection tends to come at the end, though. I quite like the final evaluations. I run them with the mentors and I ask all sorts of questions in the final evaluation. But the one that I really enjoy the most is the one where I'm asking the students and the mentors to reflect on the whole experience. And the thing that comes up every time is how students started out feeling very lacking in confidence about, how are they going to do? Were they going to actually be able to complete this project? What was it going to look like? How was it all going to happen? And then by the time they've got to the end, you can tell they've grown in confidence. They've learnt a lot. They're feeling pretty sort of solid in the area that they have been working on for the previous 12 weeks. And seeing that personal growth happen is a joy to me. And I'm sure it's a joy to the mentors who are working with these students. And it's a testament to that relationship, that mentor internship relationship, that we have such a success with our projects on this program. Every week there's a progress report. This could link in with the weekly blog journal, by the way. And this also links back to your proposal. So what happens is you're looking at your proposal, you're saying, this is what I'm going to achieve this week, and this is what I'm going to achieve next week. And then we can look at it week on week, and we can see, where the problems might be, where the tricky items are, where extra help might be needed, so that we're not leaving it until the midterm evaluation before you and your mentor realise that there's an issue. It's best to to make sure that you spot these things coming. We also have daily stand-up calls. I started these during COVID, particularly in mind for the students who would be in the office. But I'm going to keep them going because I think they're a great idea anyway. If you were going into an office, then you'd get there in the morning and you would perhaps walk past your mentor's desk. You'd say hello to each other. Your mentor would say to you, "How are you doing today? What's your plan for the day?" On a Monday, they might say, "What have you got on this week?" There could be any kind of question. And maybe overnight, you've been thinking about your project and you've got a question. It sort of prompts you to be able to ask that question in that daily stand-up call in the same way that you would if you were just walking through the office. But of course, because a lot of us are working remotely these days, that opportunity isn't often there. So it just fills in that gap. Then, of course, there's the more traditional forms of communication. I noticed I didn't put telephone on there. I guess we don't do that so much these days when you've got something like Teams or Zoom, but I guess that's always a possibility. But I do believe that communication is really important in our internship programme, and as you can see, there's a lot of it that goes on. Once a week, I have an intern chat and share meeting. I get all the interns together. Mentors are welcome as well. I invite guest speakers. The guest speakers may come and speak about things that are related to the internship. So we might get someone to come and speak about regression testing, our cloud native platform, or it could be someone from another team who is a user of the product to give that perspective of our work. Or it could be someone from HR coming to talk about employment opportunities or a virtual tour of the data centre. They're very varied. I try to make them varied. So that's the first half of the meeting. And then in the second half of the meeting, anyone who is not an intern leaves, and the interns get an opportunity to have a bit of social time together to get to know each other and chat. There are plenty of opportunities to share your work. I've already talked about the blog journal. You've seen that I write a couple of blogs that go on the HPCC systems blog. Student blogs also feature in there as well. So there's an opportunity to contribute a blog about your project on our website. The presentations are mandatory, so we expect each of our students to present to the team. The team can be wider than just the HPCC systems platform team, and often is, because there are often other people who are interested in the projects that are being completed. So presentations to people within our organisation who would be interested in what you're doing. You have to prepare a poster like the one you can see on this slide here, and we do have a poster contest. It's not mandatory to enter the contest. We understand sometimes people aren't able to do that. I do sometimes think if you've already made the poster, though, it's kind of a no-brainer. So we are hopeful for that people will enter the contest, which is judged and the results given out at our Community Day Summit. And also our students present at our Community Day Summit. The student who worked on this project did present at our summit in 2021. We also put a lot of things out on social media to interest people in the work our interns have done, and also just to show other people what the intern program is like, so that other people are attracted to come and do internships with us based on the wonderful work that our students have done over the years. And of course, a lot of this goes onto our website, and your contributions will no doubt go into our GitHub repository. These are the other sorts of things you can expect to experience when you complete an internship with us. I actually think working on a proposal before you start your internship really helps with the second of these. I think some experiences maybe aren't so great at giving some project management experience, but if you've had to think about your project and you've had to come up with a plan, and then you have to execute that plan and hit deadlines. It really gives you a good feel for how to manage a project, which is a really valuable skill that you will use again at some point in the future. In fact, I'm looking down at all of these, and all of these are extremely relevant to being in the real world of work, and you get all of these when you come and complete an internship with us. We don't expect our interns to work any differently to our developers. So while you are working within the team of developers, you will use all the same tools and processes. And I think that's also, again, valuable experience that you can take with you if you're going to seek a career in a software development environment. And of course, you're contributing to an active open source community. So I put this slide in for a bit of fun, just to show you the faces of all of the students who joined the programme in 2021, and also just to show you one of our younger students who is from a high school. She contributed a blog on her project, which was very valuable. And the year before, I did a blog to feature all of the students who were completing to what was then our ongoing development of our cloud native platform. It hadn't even been released then, and we had a number of students who were helping us with testing. And again, that was hugely valuable to the team. And I thought I'd also show you the GitHub repository that includes work by one of our students from last year, Atreya Bain. So he is the student on the top row in the far left. He also entered a poster into our poster contest, and he was our community choice winner in 2021. What that means is on the day of our conference, we had people look at all the posters and vote for the one they thought was the best. So it was really a vote from our open source community for his project. I've now just got a couple of general slides about employment opportunities and what it's like to work at LexisNexis for you, because I do get asked these questions a lot from students who are looking to complete internships with us. If you want to go and have a look at the open positions that we have at the moment, the link is on the screen right now. If you've done an internship with us, then and you want to apply for a job with us, then we can vouch for you. We can help you with that process. It really does give you a head start, but we only know to help you if you tell us. Some students tell us while they're with us, and it's a lot easier. We can try and match you up with hiring managers. We had 3 interns in 2021 who were actively looking to join the workforce. All 3 of them found employment pretty much as soon as they had finished their internships, and 2 of them chose to take positions with LexisNexis, which was great. And we were hiring more and more interns every year. Obviously, a lot of our interns are not ready for immediate employment. If you're a high school student, it may be that you're deciding to go on to do a university degree. If you're studying a bachelor's, you may choose to do a master's. And bachelor's degrees tend to be 3 or 4 years anyway. If you're then going to go on and do a PhD, ditto. So we take students across the academic spectrum, whatever stage you're at. And anytime any one of our students is interested in getting employment with LexisNexis, whatever stage they happen to be at, we of course would want that to happen and would do everything we could to make it happen. And as you can see, we get returning interns. And given the fact that we take high schoolers, maybe we will get someone breaking the record of 3 in a row, and maybe we'll get someone who does it 4 times or maybe even 5 times. Who knows? If you go to the LexisNexis.com website to find out more about us, you will see that this company does an awful lot to make its employees feel valued and part of an organisation that really looks just beyond the world of work to make people feel included as part of the organisation. And there's lots of training that all of us at LexisNexis do to educate us and make sure that we are thinking about all of these issues surrounding working with other people, working on teams, any interests that people have. You can find people that have similar interests and link up with them through our employee resource groups. It's a company that really thinks hard about these things, and I'm proud to be able to say that. So here are a bunch of links for you that you might find useful if you want to take some time to go and have a look after this presentation, because I realise I have thrown a lot of information at you here, and you might want to take some time to look at things quietly by yourself. So I'm going to just leave this slide up here a little while. I believe Trish mentioned earlier that a PDF of the slides will be made available along with the recording, and all of the links that you can see on here will be clickable in that PDF. Trish, do you want to jump in at this point and say where that will be made available on the website?
Hello, yep, absolutely. We will post it on the event page. Let me grab that link again. I did paste it at the very top of the chat, but for anybody who joined a little late, I will grab that again and paste it here.
Perfect.
Link on the website where the registration was, we'll post it here. And the recording of this presentation will be available on YouTube and also linked here.
Okay, perfect. So if you just go to where you went on our website to sign up for this presentation, at some point soon you'll see a link to this PDF, so you don't have to be scribbling down all these links. There's my email address. If you have any questions at all, then just email me. I would be happy to help in any way that I can with your questions. That's provided you don't want to ask them now. So I guess at this point, I'm going to open it up to you guys and see if anyone would like to ask a question.
First, Lorraine, while we're waiting, if you want to just browse through the chat, I believe between Bob, myself, Jessica, we've answered some of the questions that came through. But if you want to weigh in or add something further.
Right, I'm just going to have a look.
Yeah, one of them, let's see.
I couldn't see the chat while I was, oh, I don't know, this isn't scrolling for me.
One of the questions, Lorraine, was about the high school students and what the age limits are. Is there a lower limit? What are the requirements for high schoolers?
This is one of those situations where I'm never going to say never. On the basis that we had our youngest intern was 15, and that was last year. We had someone who was 15 completing an internship with us, and I don't know why we haven't had a student who's 15 before. Maybe some high schoolers haven't necessarily felt confident enough to apply. Am I going to say that if you're 12 or 13, I'm going to turn you away? Probably not. I'm very kind of open to seeing what young people can do, and there are some people who start really young on their journey into learning about technology. So I guess what I'm saying is it depends on you. It depends on you and the skills that you have, and we would take it from there. I hope that answers the question.
Well, we got one more that came through. How many internships are available? Right,
so I'm going to say at the moment about a dozen. There may be more. But I'm going to say about a dozen. Someone is saying, what does HPCC stands for? And Bob's already answered that. Yes. And people have asked about training, and you've already sent the link for that.
Okay, we had one more that comes through at the bottom. If you want, can you see that one, Lorraine, or do you want me to read it aloud?
Well, I've just seeing, can you submit multiple proposals? That was from you, wasn't it? And Bob has replied, yes. I mean, well, we get multiple proposals for the same project, and obviously we're going to look at all of those. And as Bob says, we're going to choose the right one. But as a student, if you're looking down the list and there are 2 or 3 different projects you're interested in, yes, you can submit 3 different proposals, which I think may have been what you were asking.
Yeah. I was also wondering, would it be possible to bring in our own data, or would it be something we use through LexisNexis or any libraries?
It's actually easier for us if you use your own data.
Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah.
So yes.
Okay, thank you.
So yes, someone's asking about interning at the Alpharetta office and about the mentor being on site. It's entirely possible, even as an on-site intern, that your mentor may not be on the same location as you. It really depends on the project that you have chosen. That doesn't mean to say you won't find people from the team in the office that you happen to be in. There will be people there, but you may still be remote from your intern. Now, when it comes to being office-based in 2022, I think I said at the very beginning, obviously we would love to be able to offer that opportunity. At this moment in time, I really don't know where we are on that. It might be that we are facing a 3rd year of being completely remote, or it may be that at some point during the year we are able to welcome interns into the office, even if they start off remotely. But at this moment in time, it's really difficult for me to say. As an organisation, we are looking towards making the transition of getting people back into the office, and that is a priority for us. But clearly, we're going to be looking at sorting out our offices and the employees who are currently linked with them. So we'd have to sort of wait and see, and you'd have to be flexible with us on that. But if we have the return to the office happen later in the year, and it then becomes possible to have students come in for, say, a couple of days a week, might be something that is suggested, then we would try and make that happen. But we just can't make any promises at this point. Clearly, we would all like to be back in the office, but we're all just going to have to wait and see, and maybe just be patient a little bit longer.
Are there any templates for the proposal or any past proposals that we can look at to see how they kind of, the students or the interns kind of wrote them?
Yes, the example that I showed in my talk is actually the example that's taken from our wiki, and I'm just going to go and get that for you and put the link in there. So we have, this is the example proposal that you can go and look at. And there are some guidelines, and I'm going to also put you the link for those guidelines in there as well. There we go.
Lorraine, it looks like there's a few questions that are still in the list. Mahesh asks, for intern projects, should the platform be on HPCC systems only, or can they execute in any other platform?
Right, so all of our internships are to complete projects that leverage HPCC systems in some way. So it may be that your work could execute on another platform, but it must be able to execute on ours. So I hope that answers that question. So one of the things I omitted to mention is that while we have a list of projects ourselves, it is actually okay for students to suggest a project of their own that is not on that list. that is maybe something that they're working on themselves, either at school, university, with a teacher, with a professor. And if you have an idea for a project that has enough work for 12 weeks for an internship that leverages HPCC systems in some way, you are very welcome to submit a proposal to complete that project.
If we were to, sorry, please continue.
Okay, just one quick, I want to make sure we don't miss this, but one, you had asked, can I ask how the research team works? Does each one of the listed topics have researchers working on them already?
The answer to that question is no. These are projects that are freely available for students to complete. They are projects that have been requested by our research and development team. Often we have projects that turn up on that list because the developers would like to get to them, but other priorities prevent them from doing so. They've got to complete other things first. So they put projects on that list that they would like to be completed. Sometimes they do eventually get to the projects, and I sometimes find that one or two drop off because they've already been completed. But generally, the projects on the list, which has been refreshed for the year, are usually projects that are available that have not yet been started. I see someone is asking, where can we see the different mentors available? I do have a mentor list, and I can put the link to the testimonials in here. I suspect that page needs a refresh, though. There will be some new mentors coming in, but you can have a look on there. There isn't particularly a choice of mentor, if you see what I mean. What we try to do is match mentors to projects where they have knowledge of the field, because they're going to be able to provide the student with the best possible experience for completing that project, because they'll be able to answer all the questions and give guidance. So usually when you go into the project description, you're going to see that a mentor has already been allocated for that project, but then you can go to my list and find out a bit more about them. I'm just looking to see any others.
This gentleman here, Mr. Prabhu, I think we're under, you had a question, right?
I was just wondering, how would the mentor selection process work for implementing your own project to complete?
Good question. So at this point, when you decide you have a project of your own, we're going to look at that project and we're going to consider who we have in our team who is best placed to support you. And that is usually done by deciding what is the dominant feature of your project. So if the dominant feature of your project is going to be using or developing some kind of machine learning algorithm, then we would certainly assign someone to you who would be best able to support you doing that. If it was a project that was a use case that depended on intricate knowledge of the platform, then we would find someone who we knew would be able to help you with that. So we would have to evaluate that on a case-by-case basis.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
The other side of it is that if you were working on something with a teacher at your school or a professor, and they wanted to be also involved as a co-mentor, then that's also an option. We do that quite often.
Okay.
I don't see any unanswered questions, but we do have a few more minutes if anybody else wants to ask one or make a comment.
I have one. Anyone thinking of applying, put up your hand, but everyone will be too shy. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, that's great. Oh, wow. That's lovely. I'm enjoying this. This is
There's
fun.
a couple questions that popped
do we have an organisation chart? I think we have one that's only available to us internally. If you, that's from Rob Johnson. If you send me an email and tell me exactly what it is you want to know, I can help you with that. And then Reader asks, is it all right if I do not have the experience required, but I'm willing to learn? Reader, yes, it is. Have a look at the projects and look at what your interests are. Do think a little bit about what skills you have. As I said, we don't expect people to know everything. You are going to learn a lot of things. If we expected our interns to know everything about the projects, then you would be leading our development team right now, wouldn't you? So we have an intern program for a reason, in the hope that you might be doing that in years to come.
I see lots of hands raised, so hopefully that was an answer to your questions. If you do have a question, if you do have a question, just go ahead and ask. Or lower your hand.
It looks like Pointu has a question. It looks like Pointu has a question about salary. Yeah.
Yeah. The salary structure it changes according to where you are in the academic spectrum. So we set these salaries for high school students at a certain level. Then, of course, if you're an undergraduate, you get a bit more. If you're a master's student, you get a bit more. If you're a PhD student, you get a bit more. And I don't think we're changing the amounts from last year. And I apologize for turning my face away from you for a second, but I'm just going to get the screen up so I can give you some hard and fast information on that. So this is in the US. So any students who are not based in the US, if you want to know a little bit more about this, I suggest you email me separately, because it does change from region to region. So if you're in the US, then we expect to pay you for the 12 weeks $6,000. If you're an undergraduate, it's $9,600. And if you're a master's or a PhD student, it's $12,000. I hope that answers all your questions. From which web page should we apply? There isn't a web page to apply. You basically prepare your proposal and you email it to me at the address that is on the screen now. So you send it through to me and I will put it under the noses of the people in the review panel. But before you send it to me, send it to the mentor and ask the mentor to review it for you. If you send me a proposal, I will ask you that question anyway. Has the mentor reviewed it? Because I do think it's important to get that feedback before you submit your final version.
And I also just repasted your internship blog because you talk about the whole flow and how does the application process work. So I just pasted that.
I think I've got a set of numbered bullets in there with the process, haven't I? So if you're wanting a proper description of how the process works, go to that blog and you'll see the order of events. If you're in any doubt about anything, just email me. So of the people that have their hands up at the moment, if you don't have a question, please put your hand down and then I can see if anyone has a question left they would like to ask me.
Hi, do co-mentors also get paid by any chance? Because I was thinking about asking my professor if he would like to co-mentor on a possible proposal.
We don't pay the mentors, no.
Okay.
So the mentors in our own organisation, they do it in addition to the work that's expected from them. They're freely giving up their time to do this. It's not really part of their everyday work activities. The university students and the teachers who have helped us in the past also view it that way. They see it as a means of giving the student support. So the only person that gets paid any form of salary for work on the project is the student.
Got it. Thank you.
But we are very welcome at accepting professors and teachers onto the programme as co-mentors if they want to take part. In fact, we actually love it when that happens, because it helps us to create contacts into your school and get us known with other students who can also have a good experience with us.
And I just pasted a link to the academic program as well. You can go out there and take a look at a number of the schools where Sharon has built a spotlight page, and to give you an idea of the work that we have done with other schools in the form of students working on an internship project, as well as projects that we've given grants to when we worked with the professors.
I see another question has come in. Can students take a break of 1 or 2 weeks for other activities in the summer? This is making me smile slightly. You do have to complete 12 weeks of an internship. So bear in mind, if you're going to take a break of 1 or 2 weeks, you're actually extending the amount of time you need available. So instead of having 12 weeks in a row, if you're going to take a break in the middle, of 2 weeks, you're going to really need 14 weeks, aren't you, to complete your internship. So it certainly is worth bearing in mind what's happening to you over the summer months. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm saying you might want to pick your moment as well. So taking a break when you've only been working on your project for 3 weeks is probably not the best idea, because then you'd have to relearn everything all over again. And taking a break at the end, when you're just getting to the point where you may be wanting to check in code, prepare documentation, or run some tests, may also not be the best point to do it. I would say if you're going to do that, the best point to do it would be in the middle, when you have achieved your midterm goals and you're about to start on your final goals. But if you can slot those breaks in before you start or after you finish, it's probably better for you to do that. So I'm not saying no, I'm just saying think about it.
And Lorraine, a follow-on question about that, about the flexibility that we do have.
Yes. So hang on, let me have a look.
It's from Rob Johnson.
As long as an extension is allowed, we are fine. Yes, I mean, we would need to know in advance that you want to do this, because it's important to us to make sure that the mentor is still around, because don't forget, the mentors give their time over the internship period. So we need to make sure that it all fits. So as long as we have full disclosure at the start of what you intend to do, we can probably accommodate that. Similarly, a change in start dates. I think I did mention this at the beginning, that while we say May through to August, we can accommodate people starting earlier and finishing earlier, or starting later and finishing later. So Rob, if you get out at the beginning of May and you were offered an internship, then we could certainly have you start at the beginning of May.
We are a few minutes over, but just one last chance for any other questions. I love the great interest and questions and the turnout that we've had today. Looking forward to seeing some of these proposals, aren't you, Lorraine?
I think it's really exciting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some emails come in, even if they're just questions asking for information. I would very much love to hear from any of you who've been on the call today. Thank you so much for coming. It's been great to meet you all. I hope you've all got something out of the talk today, and I look forward to seeing those proposals rolling in.
All right, well, at that point, I guess we will adjourn. Thanks again, and we will post this presentation and the recording on that event page, which I will paste one more time here in the link in the chat window. Let's see, I don't know if somebody's typing if they have a question or just saying any final words. Nope, okay. All right, thanks all. Thank you, Lorraine. And for those, Jessica, Sharon, Bob, Richard was answering questions.
Yes, thanks colleagues for helping. It gives the interns a real good way of seeing what a collaborative team we are. Thanks everybody.
Have a
you.
good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.